Robert Elmo Lee, the 83-year-old not-so-innocent grandpa whose bloody revenge shook everyone. Love is a strange feeling. Poets describe it as a feeling that changes hearts and makes the world beautiful. We all have always heard traditional love stories, where we find how people eventually gave their lives just to be with the person they loved the most. However, love sometimes takes a dark shape and haunts a person as a monster. It makes you ruthless to the extent that you forget the difference between right and wrong. You are controlled by your obsession, and this makes you do things that you can never imagine otherwise. Today's case is an example of how the loss of your loved one can drive you crazy, where you end up denying the loss and turn into a brute. Welcome to AF Crime, the channel that brings you fascinating crimes all around the world. If you're interested in this kind of content, then this channel is for you. Make sure to like this video, click on the subscribe button, and turn on the notification bell to keep you updated on our recent uploads. Now, let's get right into the video and investigate more about the case of Robert Elmo Lee and find out the reasons which turned an old man into a heartless murderer. Robert Elmo Lee and Bonnie Lee were happily together as a couple. They had spent numerous springs of their lives together in California, so they were well aware of every nook and corner of their little Californian universe. Both of them were much in love with each other, and those who saw them used to envy their love because even the imprints of time and their ages had not stopped them from being caring towards each other. They were together for 56 years, and during this time had welcomed an extended family of 6 grandchildren and 4 great-grandchildren. In 2011, when Bonnie Lee felt that she was having a strange pain in her foot, whenever she walked a bit, the pain became so excruciating that it was difficult for her to manage. She thought it was something serious and discussed it with her husband Robert, who was a witness to her pain. The couple thought that it could be something problematic. It was possible that the pain that they were ignoring at the moment would eventually turn into a full-fledged tumor, so they thought of getting a practitioner's advice on this. In the early part of 2011, the couple decided to visit a renowned podiatrist, Dr. Thomas Schock, who was known to be an expert in his domain. If you have ever come across biological terms, you will find that a podiatrist is a person who is an expert concerning the feet ailments, and that where their chief expertise lies. So, the couple relied on Schock's medical reputation and vast experience in the field, but they were unaware of the fact that soon their lives were going to change because of this single decision. Schock revealed that it was no complex tumor, but a simple case of an ingrown toenail which was troubling Bonnie. He assured the couple that it was no big deal and things will get better in no time right when he starts the treatment. All of you might have heard these types of assurances from your physicians, and just like everyone else, the couple got relaxed and the treatment began. Soon, Bonnie felt that there was no improvement in her state. Rather, she was suffering from intense pain after the treatment. Initially, she kept on ignoring the pain, thinking of it as part of her improvement phase. However, when things got out of hand and she was unable to even walk, she was taken to the emergency unit of the hospital in 2014. Where it was revealed that the toenail had become too infected and inflamed that it was now impacting all her feet as the infection kept on intensifying. The physicians also informed the couple that there was no other way to treat Bonnie's foot now but to amputate the infected portion partly. It was a huge deal for the couple because amputation meant that she would not be able to walk properly. Yet, to minimize the loss, they gave the permission for amputation, expecting that things would get any better now. Yet, nothing changed, and the infection kept on growing at a pace that it became life-threatening for Bonnie. Eventually, she died in March 2016 at the age of 73. Bonnie's death was a huge loss for Robert, who had never spent a day without her. For the initial few months, he was even unable to accept the fact that Bonnie was no longer alive. For him, it was totally unacceptable that Bonnie could die from a simple infection. He stayed in his state of denial for a long time. Meanwhile, Bonnie's death also raised many questions about the professional credibility of Dr. Schock. The medical board started an inquiry into this case to seek evidence that revealed how Schock was indirectly a reason behind Bonnie's unexpected death. Though they were unable to find any solid evidence as per the Stockton record, they were able to get their hands on the medications which were prescribed to Bonnie and how they were one of the many reasons behind Bonnie's death. Eventually, Schock retired from Lodi Podiatry in 2018, where he was serving for many years. For many people, things were solved. Schock accepted his mistake that he gave medications to Bonnie which were unsuitable for her age, and this led to the expansion of the infection. He was no longer serving, and things started getting normal just the way they were once before the death of Bonnie. In fact, many members of the Lee family started getting back to their normal lives, except one person who was still unable to forgive Schock for what he had done. This person was no one but Robert, who felt that his life was meaningless now. He used to blame Schock quite often in front of his friends and considered him a murderer who was responsible for taking the life of his beloved wife. Many friends had often heard the same kind of statements from him, but they didn't pay much attention because to them, it was out of the trauma and pain from which Robert was going through, so no one thought that this old man could do something as horrible as a murder. Yet, Robert was now restless and he wanted to take his revenge by killing the person who had taken his wife from him. Robert started crafting a plan quietly in his room. To others, he seemed like a gloomy grandpa who was mourning the loss of his dead old wife. But under this pretense, Robert was working very fast. He knew that due to his age, he could never kill Schock by himself, so he thought about hiring rental murderers. For this purpose, he hired 3 people named Mallory Stewart, Christopher Costello, and Raymond Jacquet IV. All 3 had a previous criminal record and were known as professional criminals in several circles. The next thing done by Robert was to seek a copy of the inquiry report which was issued by the medical board regarding the case of Bonnie Lee and Dr. Schock. His point was to prove the fact that the real culprit behind Bonnie's murder was still alive. He also took a loan of $5,000 cash to pay the murderers after they had completed the desired task. As the days of the murder came closer, Robert became more and more restless. Finally, on the unfortunate evening of the 1st of August 2018, the shooters who were following Schock for a long time found the right chance to kill him. They didn't delay the murder any further and killed him right there at his house door. They made sure that when the police found his dead body, they were able to see the medical report titled BI nearby Schock's body. The purpose was to highlight that Schock was involved in the death of Bonnie, so the murderer had killed him. When the initial investigations began, things were unwrapped quite quickly. It was a simple case of murder, and there was a lot of evidence which pointed out that there were multiple people involved in the murders. The gunshot wounds which Schock received were located on his arm, head, and chest. They found the culprits easily from the evidence available at the crime scene. It was found that Mallory was the one who had shot Schock dead, while Costello had kept the report nearby, Schock's dead body, as his thumbprint was identified on the report, while Raymond was the one who drove to the home of Schock in Lodi. When the police arrested all 3 of them on September 25, 2018, they were quick to reveal the whole truth to the cops. They revealed how Robert was the one who had planned this entire thing. As shocking as it seemed to the police that an old man could go to this extent, the cops were quick to arrest Robert at midnight between 25th and 26th of September. Investigations revealed other surprising details and another hidden motive behind Schock's murder. It was found that Robert wanted to gain monetary benefit from Schock's misery, and that was one reason why he had committed such a heinous crime. In March 2022, Robert was finally convicted as he had pleaded guilty. As per the conviction, he had committed and plotted first-degree murder, which was why Judge Lauren P. Thompson passed a life sentence for Robert. According to the sentence, Robert will spend the rest of his life behind bars without any possible hope of parole. Not just him, but the 3 men who were involved in the murder eventually pleaded guilty. All 3 of them are serving the sentence of kill for pay plot within the state prisons at the moment. This case is not just a shocking one, but reveals how far one can go to seek revenge without caring for the end consequences, just the way Robert did with the rest of his life while being 83 at present. Tell us what you think about this in the comments. Also, if you feel that this case was an intriguing one, like this video and share it with all your friends. Also, subscribe to our AF Crime channel for finding more shocking tales around the world. And if you have any criminal case that you'd like me to investigate, Share it in the comment section below.